put me in the helicopter. And good afternoon, everyone. It is story time again. It was a while back. I don't know. I think the year was like maybe 1990, maybe 1990, 91 time frame. Don't want to date myself. 1991, 90. I was working in Korea with a chaplain. I was young at that time, really young for some. I was like 25, maybe 25. I had I wore what you would call a jump boot. Jump boots are designed for parades. They're designed for you to stand there and to designed for you to stand there and be in a parade, but they're not designed to be out like in the woods. So I was wearing those boots out on a field exercise with the chaplain when I was in the military. And I was his assistant, so it was my job to drive him around in the Jeep. I was supposed to protect him. We were with an infantry unit, so it was my duty and assignment to drive him around, protect him, set up his services. That's just what a chaplain assistant does in the military, which is now called a religious affairs specialist. But so it was during Korea. It was pretty cold. I know it doesn't look cold now, but it was a very cold time of the year. I don't know if it was November, December, January, somewhere around then, where we had an exercise where the units came together and they trained in the field. So we were with our infantry unit, and we happened to be like in a ravine, and we had been following the unit around, providing support and service for the soldiers. And what had happened, we had followed them around, and they had camped out in a ravine late one night, and the temperature must have been 5 degrees or -2. It was extremely cold. I have what's called Raynaud syndrome, where my limbs freeze when it gets below low 30. My limbs freeze and go numb and turn white. So what occurred is I started feeling a little bit of that, and I didn't want to sleep out there in the rocks in my sleeping bag because I was extremely cold. When we had got to the position where we were supposed to camp out for the night, everyone had bedded down. We were in this dry creek bed ravine with hard rocks, no place to really sleep. Chaplain went outside, got in his sleeping bag. I stayed in the Jeep because I did not want to lay out there because it was cold. So I took off my uninsulated jump boots. My feet were freezing cold and my socks were wet. And I don't know, I'm going to see if I can try to stick a picture of the Jeep in here. So I was in the Jeep, and I was sleeping. So I'm a pretty tall guy, about 6 feet. The Jeep is very small. So I'm laying down and my feet are sticking out and elevated in the Jeep at night. So I fell asleep and kind of partially had on a sleeping bag because I was trying to stay as warm as possible. I fell asleep. Something woke me up at about 2 o'clock in the morning. The feeling of someone taking knives and slicing my feet open. I woke up to the most intense pain that I've ever felt in my entire life. My feet were in excruciating pain, but I didn't know what the problem was. But my feet were sticking out of the vehicle, and I tried to pull my feet back in and tried to rub them because I felt that me rubbing them was making them feel better, but it just made them feel worse. So I said I need to go and maybe go put on my boots or try to put my feet in the sleeping bag, but my feet were in excruciating pain. So what I didn't know is that I had got Frostnip. And I'm going to see if I can put in here a little bit about what Frostnip is. So I got out of the Jeep, crawled out, because when I tried to place my feet down, mind you, the ground was all rocks. I wasn't a barefoot runner at that time, but the ground was all solid rocks. So I got on the ground and I was trying to tell the chaplain, hey, my feet are hurting, I can't stand up. And he said, you need to go to the first sergeant's tent. So the ground has hard rocks. I didn't have my boots on. I just had my socks and my feet were like toast. So I had to crawl to the first sergeant's tent on those hard rocks. So I'm on my hands and knees crawling in this ravine, freezing cold at night. And I finally made my way to the tent, and they said, Scoggins, what's wrong with you? I said, I can't feel them. I don't know, they're in excruciating pain. So he took my socks off inside of his tent and examined them and said, son, looks like you got Frostnip. So I had to stay in the first sergeant's tent for the rest of the evening until the morning. Now, they had a little fire going on inside their tent because they had a little heater back at that time. I mean, that was the most comfortable place out there. It felt like a campground in there. It felt amazing. So I waited till the morning, and they actually had to put me on a stretcher and walk me out. Or excuse me, I had to limp out, and then they put me in a stretcher and had to fly me out in the helicopter. So they put me in the helicopter, and the chaplain said, is there anybody who wants to replace this useless chaplain assistant? I think that was one of the other parts of my life that started my low self-confidence, when he called me a useless chaplain assistant. And it's simply because I didn't understand. I just didn't know. Nobody really helped me with that. But yeah, he called me useless. And they put me in the helicopter and flew me back to our main base, which had a helipad. And they took me out there, took me to the medic. They examined my feet, gave me some medication. They said, you need to keep your feet elevated. They put some cream on them. And because they said you're going to experience lots of pain. You're going to experience this pain and you need this Motrin. And within the next few days, my toes turned purple in the middle because the tissues were damaged, because they were almost close to being frostbitten. My feet turned purple, and it was the worst pain I ever felt in my entire life. And I had to take those pills, keep my feet warm and elevated, because the pressure of the blood trying to go into those damaged vessels was excruciating. I cannot begin to explain, but it took probably about a month for my feet to recuperate and come back. But I was limping and I had to walk with a crutch and cane because my feet were just, I could not walk. The pain, it just felt like I was stepping on glass, like somebody was stabbing me. It was horrible. So from this day forward now, whenever you see me run barefoot, I have to be careful. If it's really cold, I got to keep my feet moving to make sure there's friction to keep the warmth going. And if I'm running, like if it's snowing or icy, I have to keep my feet moving, because now I'm more vulnerable and susceptible to having my feet get very cold and becoming re-injured again. So I have to be mindful when I'm out there running. I have ran in the snow and in the cold before, but I knew not to be out there very long and to keep my feet moving. So yes, I was a cold weather injury person. Got to be careful when you're out there running in those cold weather temperatures. That is my story for the day. I had Frostnip. It was a miserable experience, but I learned. I learned to take care of my feet, take care of myself. And I know now that I am not useless. I'm just someone who did not know. So be encouraged. You guys keep getting out there. Keep that running going. Thanks for watching the channel. Make sure you hit subscribe. Thanks for listening to my story. You take care. Have a good time. Faces of Day, Barefoot Running People family. I am out of here. And stay warm.